Alrighty guys, so real quickly, originally I was going to debut the new Halloween edition of the Technoid Show, but due to some last minute issues behind the camera, we're going to push that back by a few days, and also we're going to try to create a steady schedule for video releases. So once we get all that cleared out, the Halloween theme will come, and I will say that the Halloween theme is going to extend into November. You will see once I debut it, but for those of you that know, you know. Now we got that out of the way, let's talk about the iPhone 15 lineup, because there's a lot of controversy about this phone, and I'm here to tell you it's bad, but is it really? Alrighty, the first story, the main story of the day, the only story we're going to talk about is the iPhone 15. Now listen, before I go into this video, I just want to preference my comments by saying that I do have the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So far, my experience has not been what users are saying, but that doesn't mean that it's not happening to others. But I can say from my own experience after using the Pro Max, which I love, by the way, USB-C, I will give a sit-down review maybe later on, but I just wanted to preface my comments by saying that I haven't noticed these issues, I haven't taken or seen it, so while I'm not saying it's not happening, I just wanted you to know where I stand, that I haven't seen these issues, but it's all over the news. The whole overheating issue, then the reports of now apparently the iPhone 15 is reportedly suffering, what are we talking about? Apparently BMW now with the wireless charger. There's a lot of stuff going on with these phones. And a lot of people are very quick to jump on it. Now, I just want to say that if a phone has issues, if there are legitimate reasons to complain or legitimate reasons to do things, then that's one thing. But I want to focus, before we go into that, to the clickbaiters, to those people that solely talk about Android, to the users that like to clickbait titles to generate those clicks. Because listen, I get you got to pay bills, but to those people that will take any bit of drama and exaggerate it without doing any shred of evidence or information, without going into the details, you guys are just a bigger problem than the issues on the phone, because you don't offer any criticism of necessary to give any constructive feedback. You just take the news and then you use it to spin your narrative, and then you want to continue on to others and say that my word is the final word, it should matter what I say, who cares what anyone says. And then if you get the Android fanboys that go, Android's better, I'm not surprised, iPhone sucks, you're not helping. So to those people, please do, I would say, the most sensible thing. Stop talking, focus on what you need to focus on, and let the people that do the research and information do the talking. Now, in regards to all of this, starting with the newest one, the BMW wireless charger. Apparently there are some reports saying that if you have an iPhone 15 of any kind, there's a report saying that the vehicle's wireless charging pad can destroy the little Apple Pay chip in the phone, the NFC. According to the reports, it seems that a lot of the vehicle's wireless charging pads have interrupted the NFC chip, and apparently there are a lot of error messages that have been coming up. Now, while this could just be a BMW issue, and it seems like BMW has yet to address it, it could also be something that the iPhones are vulnerable for, and as of this recording, there is no solution. So the question is, what do you do? Do you put a case on it? Do you stop using the charger? What is the solution? Well, this is not an Apple issue. This is more of a BMW thing, because this is a BMW product. Their cars have a wireless charger, whatever their coils or whatever's going on, that has to be addressed by BMW. And if Apple steps in, then they'll say, well, here's what we recommend. But I don't see this one being a big deal. While it is a big deal that you can't use Apple Pay, I would strongly advise for those of you that have a BMW and an iPhone, please keep your eyes on this and keep an update, because if you get an iPhone 15 and if these reports are to be true, then you might be in for some problems. So keep it off the pad for now until Apple comes out with a solution, or BMW. Now let's talk about the real thing, the overheating issue. If you haven't heard by now, overheating is everywhere. We've heard so many stories, we've heard so many reports that everybody using a USB-C type charger that there is an overheating issue where the phone heats up so much, it shuts down and says it needs to cool. Then there's reports of, if you haven't seen the Jerry Rig video where the glass broke, there's like controversy after controversy after controversy after controversy. And listen, there is legitimate reason for this. There is a legitimate reason for all of these concerns. If you're paying $1,200, you should expect your phone to get the best service possible, the best quality possible, but most importantly, it needs to be up to the par. But you see, this is where I need to step in and say, everybody's experience is different. It's a story that is as old as the stories of love. That is how old we have been hearing this story for years and years and years and years. And what bothers me is that every time, and mostly nowadays, it's mostly Apple you hear this. Yes, Samsung had its fair share, and of course the whole blowing up issue with the battery, and that was a big reason for everybody to panic. But nowadays, we live in this society where everybody wants to just pile on to Apple at the tiniest drop. And while I'm not here to defend Apple, because I do believe if you're going to make a product that you're pricing within $1,200, it needs to be up to expectations. But apparently Apple has addressed this and said that it is a bug issue with third-party developer apps where they're using a lot of stuff and that's causing the overheating. I do also feel that Apple also needs to be held accountable because, listen, taking a look at the internals and the thermal issues, for years, the iPhones have never had a thermaling component. All their designs, it's just, they rely on the hardware to do the cooling. And while it's been very, very good, listen, there have been moments where my iPhone is heated and I just like, yo, it'd be nice if they had a thermal cooling system in this thing. There's a reason why Androids use copper cooling. They have a whole thermal cooling system built in because it works and it doesn't take away from the design. Apple could put this in, they could do this. I understand they want to make everything look clean, they want to make it look nice, but adding that extra layer of protection will make the device better. And it would even justify the price range. Because think of it this way, your iPhone right now, with all of the unboxings and the untearing, there is no thermal cooling in there, built in. The only way the thermal cooling happens is the onboard device and its thermal management. That is a good solution, but it's not enough. And to see that there are users out there suffering, listen, eventually somebody has to tell Apple or somebody needs to speak up and say, listen, the way you're building your phones is great, but please put a thermal cooling system in these things to help dissipate the heat, especially now with titanium, which is another discussion for another day. All I'm trying to say is, look, these criticisms are absolutely 100% credible. If there's somebody with a problem, and it's happening to them, they have every right to say what they need to say. The problem that I have is when people blow it up, and specifically because it's just Apple. Because this is what people like to do. Now, I'm not saying that Apple is innocent here. They do need to be held accountable. But let's see how they address this. If they address it 100%, if they actually fix the issue and not throttle the experience, which I think that's what they're gonna do, but if they address it and they fix it, then hopefully this is the solution we need. But at the same breath, I do think that people need to stop over-exaggerating them to the max. I'm not saying they are, but there are a lot of people that are stretching these things and just making the clickbaits more and more and more. Let's wait and see what happens with the next software update. Let's wait and see what happens, and if it gets addressed, if it gets fixed, there you go. But I think my opinion is Apple needs to design the internals of the iPhone better with a thermal cooling complex in there. I think that that needs to happen, and as long as there's no thermal cooling or any kind of thermal cooling of any kind, and just keep relying on the CPU, then I guess at the end of the day, you're gonna have those issues, and it's been like that for a while. So maybe instead of focusing on overheating, maybe you should say, how about you put a thermal cooling in the phone? How about you design it that way? So it anticipates the heat better. Just food for thought. That's where I stand on this.